Today, I will be doing my very first coaster review, being Orion at Kings Island. This is a ride I believe is overhated and I love it to death. And I will be going into all the small details that make me love this ride so much. First is the entry experience. Orion is in the Area 72 part of the park, which is a mini section with only Orion and Flight of Fear, but I think that this is still a top 2 area in the park for me. This is an area themed to aliens and extraterrestrial beings, which is pretty interesting. And for what it's worth, the theming is pretty good and immerses you into this little area of the park. Orion's front entrance isn't grand, but it works with the huge coaster behind it, allowing for amazing photo ops with the great coaster. And usually Orion isn't more than a 30 to 45 minute wait because apparently it's hard for people to find Orion's entrance, but I'm not complaining. But you walk through the queue and it's nothing really special. It's many switchbacks going just back and forth with the occasional shaded area and misters. I do wish that the shaded areas were just the entire queue, and the misters are very nice for hot days to cool you off during a long line. After the switchbacks, there is a building that you enter that isn't the station, but it's really cool. There are many Easter eggs with pictures of old and current rides and many other great theming elements. There is also a video playing that tells you more about the theme of the ride and instructing you what you do once you actually get to the station. Then you walk up some stairs and you're in the station building. You walk in and you realize that there are 8 rows of 4 trains. You take your seat in the amazing B&M trains with the great B&M clamshell and you head off to the ride. You go up the 287 tall lift hill. You get amazing views of the park to your right and great views of trees and the surrounding areas to your left. The lift hill is also extremely quiet. It surprised me even the first time I rode it because on ride it's extremely quiet. Also at night there is a amazing blue LED lights to your left that light up the entirety of the lift hill, and it's really cool from the pathways to see the entirety of Orion's lift hill lit up. After the lift hill you go into the 300-foot drop, which is otherworldly. This is a 85-degree drop and it's almost vertical, and the entire way down it launches you into the restraint. For what feels like forever, you get amazing floater airtime and is easily the best drop at Kings Island and probably the best first drop that I've been on. And off-ride, this is one of the only parts of the ride that you can see from everywhere in the park, and seeing trains drop down is so menacing. Then after that drop, you rise into a 200-foot wave turn. When you think of a wave turn, you think the ones on RMCs, and sadly this is not like those at all. You get almost zero airtime during the entire element, which is why people say that the element is a dud, but I hard disagree. Being that you're 200 feet above the ground and tilted sideways, it's so cool, and not many other coasters have an element like this one. Looking straight down at the ground at that height is incredibly awesome, and at that moment you really realize how tall and fast this ride really is. After the wave turn, you rise into a reverse treble clef. Sadly, unlike the treble clef on Fury 325, this turnaround isn't special and has no airtime. This is definitely the weakest spot of the ride, and I wish they could have done a better job here. Having a treble clef type turnaround with great airtime would make this ride so much better and fix one of its only weaknesses. You drop down from the turnaround and hit a speed hill. This is arguably the best element on the ride. This speed hill is just so abrupt and just sends you flying, giving you great ejector airtime. And it's elongated, so you actually get a good 3 to 4 seconds of amazing airtime, which usually doesn't happen for most speed hills. Also, this is the closest element to the ground, and after being almost 200 and even 300 feet above the ground, being only 50 feet above the ground and going over all the cart paths on the ground is just really cool. You rise up into a airtime hill after that speed hill. This is a pretty good hill. Sure, there is a trim on this hill, but it doesn't stop you from getting good airtime. Also, this is a very good and underrated airtime moment on this ride. After that, you fly into a Helix. If you think that this is anything like Fury 325's Helix, you're wrong. This is an actual Helix that is tight and has good positive Gs. And it's actually surprisingly staying well, being that it's a good 10 seconds of positives, which is pretty rare for a ride of this size. It's a very good Helix that actually provides and mixes up the forces compared to other B&M Gigas. You take a left turn past the camera and go into the final dip. I don't really know the actual name of this element, but it's amazing. It's like an off-banked airtime hill with insane ejector. It's really weird, but also at the same time it's really cool, and the airtime is great. This is the part of the ride where people think that it's just to align itself with the brake run, but B&M turned it into a one-of-a-kind element. This element really ends the ride off on a bang and is arguably the best moment of the ride, up there with the speed hill and the first drop. Then you rise up, giving you one more pop of airtime and slowly run through the brakes. You take a left turn back into the station, and that concludes your ride. My final conclusion is that overall, Orion is a great ride and one of my favorites. I don't really understand the hate. People say it's a short ride even though it has a solid ride time with an amazing mix of elements. Even though it's not a record-breaking Giga that people were hoping for, it's still a great ride for this park. And I'm so glad that they could transform this area of the park, and it shows that in the future that they can make semi-well themed attractions. In the mix of normal airtime, ejector, floater, off-banked airtime, while being a smooth ride while throwing in positive G's, I think that this is a great experience from start to finish. Overall, I give Orion a 9 out of 10, and I think that this ride is way overhated and is definitely a top 5 coaster that I've been on. Thanks for watching, subscribe, vote on my community tab, and give me some hot takes for upcoming video, but other than that, have a great day.